Sit. There you go, buddy. Who's that? Who's that on the live? Is it you? Are you on the live with everybody? I guess we're just on the live. I'm going to let a couple people, let's see. Hi, Nellie. Just going to let a few people jump in. Gingerlocks, Mom. Hi, Diana. Hey. Just letting some folks accumulate. And hopefully some of my mods will jump in because they're great. Sasquatch, Sean, and Coop. Sean and Coop. That's Cooper in the picture. Let's see. Austria. Do you know what? My grandfather's from Austria. Happy Saturday, Lori. Good to see you. And, oh no, Sean. I know. Yeah. Can I tell you something? Gav's the best. And he's like Mr. Softy McSofty. He is. He's soft. So soft. Hey, Coop. Coop's there. Leisha, good to see you. Melissa. Melissa wants to know, how do you get a reading? Contact my assistant. Go to support@torihartman.com. She'll tell you when I'm doing them again, because right now, because I'm going off to Europe, fancy schmancy, I won't be doing them until I get back. So, okay, good. Esther, cool. Thank you. The dogs are starting to feel better, and that's kind of been a bit of a journey. So, so just so you all know, because my mods aren't here, because your mods are here, I'm gonna, my mods are not here. I'm gonna make sure you guys kind of self take care of the, make sure we, hey, intuitive reader, good to see you. I know, you know what, I tell you, I love to go to Europe, but I want to talk about my topics today, and then I'll kind of come back and forth, but I wanted to just, there's been a lot lately, okay, about people talking about, oh, that's not fair. And this is, I'm taking off my glasses, so I'm not looking at the feed right this second. It's not fair that, it's like, you know what? Life isn't fair. No one gave us like this little notice that said, oh, you're going to have it fair and everyone else will have it unfair. And I think the truth is that some people do think life is more unfair for them. And that's because honestly, they have limited ideas of possibility. That is not their fault. Okay. I really want to say, when we talk about people who are underprivileged, I want to say it's that they have less awareness of choices. And so I feel a lot of times like it's my obligation to give as many people opportunities to choices, because the truth is I didn't know we had choices. Like I didn't know. I grew up with alcoholism in my family. So for me, it was like, hide or be like screamed at. Those were the two choices. So do you want to go sit down or you want to say hi to people, Gavin? What would you like to do, buddy? I think Gavin's kind of here with us. Hey, Emily, great to see you. Yay. Oh, yes. Emily has started her YouTube channel, everyone. Please go over and visit her. Emily, if you just put up your the URL of your YouTube channel, will be great. Emily's been really fantastic. She's been a moderator for me and really on it. And boy, I tell you what, in case you all don't know, you really can't do a YouTube channel without a moderator. And this is Gavin. Gavin's just sitting on mommy's lap right now. Yeah. So, okay, exactly, Melissa. Everyone has a story. Some are worse than others. Great. Jessica, good to see you. Again, thanks to my mods. You guys are great. Yeah, I do live in Asheville. And so I wanted to say that the life is fair. Kindness is the new sexy, and also why intuition is powerful. And I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. There you go. I'm a collaborator, not a competitor. Well, everybody's competitive, but I don't know if you're competing with anybody here. I don't know. I mean, I kind of think of it as, I love when people don't understand how to handle certain things, because or how to interpret them, because I think the biggest thing with using your intuition is being honest with yourself. And I think it's really hard to do that. And I'm going to share an example with you. And by the way, Emily, I don't see you as a competitor at all. I think everybody has their own voice, okay? And here's something funny I learned. I'm going to talk about this, and then I'm going to write things down so I know what I'm going to say. Because I want to talk about I want to talk about competition, because I love that. And I also want to talk about something else that I forgot, so whatever. Okay, what I mean is I don't believe that it's a conflict of interest that I have a channel now and that I'm a moderator. No, I moderate for other people. No, we all get you. We all get you, Emily. I moderate for other people. The first time I really became friendly with Duty Ron, he made me a moderator. Jules of Thought, she made me a moderator. I mean, if I jump on, and even live from my sofa, that cutie pie that he is, he made me a moderator. I don't mind. I don't mind if I'm there moderating for people. I think the greatest thing we can do for each other is to be of service to each other. And, that's what we as creators do. Brummy Bird, oh, truly love your videos. You've changed how I think about things, and for the good. Well, that's good. I'm so grateful for you and glad I found your channel. Brummy Bird, I'm really glad you did find the channel, and I'm glad for those of you who have found your way here. I feel blessed every day that you guys are part of my my energetic circle. And I can't wait to go to London. I'm going to be in London. I'm not going to be in Cheltenham. Where am I going to be? It's on my events page, and it's all over Facebook too. I've been putting it up, but I'm going to be doing a full day of teaching at the College of Psychic Studies in London. That's right. There is a College of Psychic Studies. And guess what? Conan Doyle was one of the founders. So what I think you guys will find very interesting about a lot of the psychic or mysterious or spiritual stuff that people get so scaredy around is that a lot of, I want to say, the British upper class people, so to speak, a lot of these men particularly left their fortunes to College of Psychic Studies. There are a lot of things that they studied around the esoteric arts. And so I say this because there are so many things that were very elusive. Like no one really knew who, Jack the Ripper was. And that's part of he moved like mist. And so there's much of that lore, if you will, in the UK. And so I just want to say, if you're in London, please come join me at an event. It'll be really fun. We're going to be doing some intuitive games and things like that. So there was something, I want to talk about that in terms of competitor, because I think this is a great point. Let me just go back to, let's see. Yeah, Emily, you're gonna rock on your channel. Yeah, thank you, everyone. If you would like the video, it does help in the rankings. One feline. Yeah, here we are today. I have paperwork to do, and I'm not feeling well, but I have to get it done. Sounds like fun. What? Are you not feeling well, Jess? Okay. Yeah, just listen. It's okay. Just my eyes have been bothering me too. All right, so let me talk about competition for a minute. And I'm going to share this with you. I was doing, years ago when I was in voiceover, and I used to do, voice commercials and things like that. And there were, all of these guys, when they come in and they go, "It was a dark and stormy night," they all sound alike. But what makes that one, and technically they're competing for the job, right? So what makes that one person get the job versus the person who doesn't? And I want you to all get really still as I say this to you. They own it. The person that comes in and owns the moment creates the world around that job or circumstance, and it becomes theirs. And there's just no other one. There's no other person to book it. And it's really interesting because one of the things that happened to me, and this has a lot to do with creators, to give you an example, Emily, you and I could talk about the same exact thing, right? And I could almost do the exact words, and you could do the exact words, literally. And the truth is that we would both be interesting, that we would both have our own ownership of it. Because the truth is, I don't see people as competing with me. Like, I had somebody who actually was concerned because I was standing up for there's a creator called Mommy Ramblings, right? And they were concerned, and they were like, she does a lot of strange stuff, and I'm like, I don't care what she does. I like her personally, and I think she has a voice, and I don't like what happened to her, and so I stood up and said, I sent emails to YouTube. And I said, you've obviously made a mistake, and here's why. And I cited it. And then when they wrote back to her, they said, well, we've obviously made a mistake. So I was really happy that there was so much pressure around reinstating this person. Now, the reason I do that is because I feel like she's not a competition to me. Like, we're not competing. And I think that where you will pull yourself under is if you think someone is competing with you. Because the truth is, the only competition is to better yourself in the moment and become the best you can be. Even Olympic athletes who are winners, they don't look at it like that guy's competing with me. They look at it as, how can I beat my time that I did 10 minutes ago? How can I be optimally my best? And I think what happens is and this brings up another point, everybody. No, not everybody gets the frickin' trophy. You can't get the trophy every time. And the reason you can't get the trophy, the reason it's not healthy, is because you won't know the difference between working through frustration and getting something you desire and doing nothing to win. And I think it's really important that we start to differentiate that. And when you look at a lot of crimes, you look at a lot of criminals, you look at people that are doing things illegal, what's really happening is they're trying to get something that may not belong to them. In other words, they're not going to win at that, so they're going to take it from you. I'm just going to, yeah, exactly. It's like a self, it's like and Emily just said, it's like I'm competing with myself. I think it's kind of like a betterment. If we look at a competition as, how fast can I run that? How well can I write that book for me? I think how much can we be inspired? To be honest with you, and I'm going to be truthful with all of you here, the reason I stood up for this woman when they demonetized her channel is because she inspired me. She inspired me because when the Chris Watts stuff came out, she was talking about it and she was reading it all. And I remember, I was so obsessed with the case. I remember going to bed at 11, and she would be up till 2 or 3 in the morning, and I'd have it on and listening to her. I'd fall asleep to her. And I thought, wow, she's really great. And she's just chatting and she's rambling. That's her thing, Mommy Ramblings. And I kind of liked it. I liked her freeform style. And I thought, wow, what a great style. Never in a million years did I think, I got to do that. I thought, ooh, I want to do my form of connecting through what I've learned with chakra wisdom, with the chakras, with the energy. And one of the things that happened to me, everybody, and this is truth, is that, I teach these people that really want to shift their lives, and I was charging a lot of money for it, and I was doing pretty well. And the issue for me was that I wasn't reaching as many people. I wasn't able to, because, the minute you say tarot or woo-woo or anything like that, people go, oh, and, I'm kind of less woo and more you. That's kind of my thing. So what I really wanted to do with this was I wanted to do something where I could share with you a lot of the ideas that I learned from Chakra Wisdom Oracle, that I learned from this tarot deck, that I've learned from working with others, and a lot of the techniques and personal life tools, really. They're natural spiritual tools that I learned by teaching them and by reading the fables in the Chakra Wisdom Oracle. The reason I'm saying all this to you is that when I learned all these tools and when I took them on, one of the things that happened was I realized there's not enough people that are going to sign up for these high-priced things. I want to be able to have more people have access to this. So that's how I really got inspired to do this channel. And so I love that you're doing this, Emily. I really do. Let's see. Yeah. Chloe, she's lovely. And I want to say, I'm not worried that other people are going to go, oh my gosh, you're going to be in the group with her, or you're not going to be in her group. Or, can I tell you something? I don't answer to anyone but God. Okay. That's my, you know what? I kind of go, okay, I made a mistake today, and here's what I think. And can you share with me ways and I do journaling about it. And I just say, God, just show me what I'm supposed to do next. And I freeform write, and I feel answers come to me, and I'm like, okay, that's the right thing to do. And, I just felt it's the right thing to do. If somebody's unfairly accused, I don't care what others think of them. I care more about me doing the right thing than I care about what others are going to think of me. It's more about me being able to go to sleep at night and know that somebody is being treated fairly. And if I see an opportunity for me to step in, if I have any power at all, I want to step in and help other people if I can do it. If it's within my means, if it's within, kind of my own beliefs, as long as people aren't out there doing crazy stuff, then I'll do that. I don't answer to anybody but God. No one pays my rent, okay, and mortgage now, but no one pays my rent but me. And the thing to get is that I can listen to you, and I can take into consideration what you're going to say to me. But, at the end of the day, I remember my, I had perhaps an ex who said to me, I'm telling you this, and I'm telling you this, and I tell you this, and you just don't do it. And I go, yeah, I told you I'm not going to do it. He was like, but I told you what I wanted. I said, yeah, well, I'm not going to do it. So I hear that. Let me relanguage this for you. And he's like, I go, okay, I hear you asking me to do this, this, and this. Is that correct? And he said, yeah. And I said, great. I'm not doing that. That doesn't feel right to me. I feel it's dishonest, and I'm not going to do it. And it was a billing something. It was a tricky billing thing, and I wasn't going to do it. And I just said, I won't do it. So that's that. And he was like, oh. I said, yeah, I really heard what you need. You're saying you need more money, and I get that, but I'm not going to do that. So making more money may be the thing to look at, but that's not the way I'm going to do it. And so the reason I say this to all of you is that, when we go back to the voiceover competition thing, and I love this was very funny. This is a long time ago. I walked into my studio, and it's, for those of you that don't know, I was one of the first women voiceover studio owners in Los Angeles. There was no female owners. I was it, right? So I remember walking into my studio, and I had an audition, and I handed it to my engineer, and I said, I want to just jump in and do this. I think I can knock this out of the park. And sure enough, I did it. It was fantastic. I felt really good about the read. I said, send it off. And in those, we were able to send it to my agent, and I booked it. And it was fantastic. It was really fun. It was a caveman spot, believe it or not. And the way the spot was written, it was like I'm a realtor, and there's a caveman, and he just grunts. And so I'm kind of, isn't this cave just charming? It's like, oh. The minute I knew it went on the market, I knew it was for you. See those cave paintings? They stay. And I just did this whole thing. I riffed it, right? And I just walked out, and my engineer looked at me, and I looked at him, and I went, if that's not mine, then I'm going to be surprised. Sure enough, I booked it. Well, I guess it was about 2 years later in my studio, I had people coming in to teach. And I had this casting agent come in. I didn't know she cast that job, and she brought in a couple samples of different voiceover things. And one of the copies she brought in was that copy. And so she had copy, meaning a script. That's what it means. Give me the copy. It means give me the script. So it was like 2-person read, and so we had 2 people in the voiceover booth, and they started reading, and I'm sitting there on the other side doing paperwork, and I look up, and I'm like, that's my spot. And I didn't say anything, and I listened, and all the people auditioned, and then she said, and I want you to listen to the person who did book it. And she played it, and sure enough, there's my spot. And I really hadn't heard it much. And I was like, wow, that's pretty good. I was like, that's pretty good. But one of the things she said, and I'll never forget, because I kind of kept silent. I know it's hard to believe, but I kept silent during that moment because I wanted to see. And she said, I want you to know that this woman owned it. And everybody kind of agreed. She said, do you agree that this woman would have booked that job? And everybody went, yeah, it was like her spot. Because what happened is I just became that person. So what I want to say to you is, the cliche of what we become, what we think about all day long is really true. So if you think about it, for me in that moment with acting, I became that person because I really loved it. I thought it was so much fun. And so here's this guy going, see that cave painting? They stay. And he's like, oh, yes, you can get financing. Now, and I just kept going on and on and on. And I said, and I know this is low, but when you begin to walk upright, this cave will evolve with you, and it's like, it was just really funny. Now, they wouldn't do that today because everybody would be offended, right? So the reason I'm sharing this with you is because when we own something and we stay in our lane, we can win the game. See, you win when you complete the game. That's the key to it. That's the key is, when Bo Weaver, and I shared this with you the other day, he was the voice of Entertainment Tonight. And when Bo Weaver said to me, I said, how do you get success in this business? He said, you give them the impression you're not going to go away. And by the way, I haven't been looking at chat, so forgive me if I missed your comment. I'll look in a moment. But that's what I've always believed. You give them the impression you're not going away. And I want to talk about a book deal I have coming up that I'm really excited about. And I'm going to share it with you just a little bit because it relates to that. So what I want to say to you is the idea that something is yours. Something is yours. It is yours when you have ownership inside of you. It has nothing to do with another person. If like, that's mine. No, that's yours because you own it inside. See, the idea that, okay, I'm just going to use this silly pillow, right? So I picked out this pattern, right? I just liked it. So I picked it out to go with this is a buffet, right? I had a built-in put in. I'll show you a picture later. And I picked out this, and I picked out this kind of tuft gray fabric. Now, I didn't know if they'd go together. I didn't at all. But I loved the fabric. Now, ownership means it gave me joy, right? So when I look at it, I was like, wow. Now, when it came together, because it was like kind of a weird print, and a couple of my friends were like, we put it together, and everybody went, how did you know? And I said, I just owned the moment. And they were like, I know this is going to make sense later, because it makes sense later to them. But the thing is that I owned the moment with this. And I still do. I own the joy it gives me. And so that's the thing, is that when you own it, nobody can take it from you. That's a very important thing to remember. Okay. Yeah, there is a lot of wisdom in the chakra. So our thoughts drive our actions, and we use our actions to define ourselves. Yes. And here's the thing that's great. You don't have to be defined by any actions you take. I want you to think about that for a minute. Thank you for putting that up, Destiny. You don't have to be defined by what you think of you, what other people think of you. You can, at any moment, change your own definition of yourself. Like, I've made some stupid choices, maybe. I don't define myself by my dumb choices. I define myself in the moment by doing what I love to do and being of service to others at the highest point I can be and I'm going to fall, I don't do things perfectly. I'm going to try, but that doesn't mean I'll always succeed. But it means that I will feel I've succeeded because I endeavored to do it. That's the difference. Let's see. So if there's, okay. Oh, Whispers, Winky Whispers, you are back. Isn't the print pretty? Thanks, Nicole. Great. And you know what it is, Jeep Girl? It is owning it. And I'm glad you said that, because it's like, and I want y'all to think about this right now. What can you own as yours? And when you think about it, like, I'm owning my writing. I'm owning my ability to communicate. And my talking to you right now is part of the work I do. When I get into this state, this is the level at which I write. This is the way I share with you. And so it's at a higher place than just, oh, here's what's going on. Sometimes it's not. But I know that I have like 3 things that are due right now. And I know that this one I've been focusing on trying to get it out. And I went, wait a minute, that needs cooking time. And you ever think about cooking time with things? No, most people don't. Hi, Loving Life. what did Emily say? That's so brilliant. Emily's always saying brilliant things. Yeah. So I want to talk, Nicole Knox, you are just making it happen. Yep, I have things due too. Yeah, Jess, don't we all? And that's, yeah, own yourself. Let's see. Tori, I can't stay, but I'll catch up when the baby's sleeping. Oh, thank you so much, Brummy Bird. I hope you can come to some of my events in the UK. There's going to be some really fun, things. Let's see. Okay. Emily says, Christianity no longer bothers me because there's value in the principles. I agree. I'm not even sure I was bothered. I just don't need to be told what is for me, and other non-religious slogans are bomb. Yeah, I agree with you. You're going to have to carry me out of here. I love that. I can't stay long. Just wanted to show you my love. Thank you, Winky. Okay. You need to put the word self-educated in there, Lisa, for me. Let's see. Great. And you know what? It's all about personal validation. It's all about validating each other. And that's a lot of what, somebody had said to me, and I want to share this with you because I kind of quasi-quoted it from the thing here, and I'm going to talk about some crimes that are coming up that I want to talk about too. Okay, so one gal said to me, Tori, I love your heart and your perspective on so many things and levels, but I wish you would not incorporate divination into your messages. That's just me. Scripture warns us about divination, not good. And I wrote, hi, and I said her name. My new tarot deck is coming out. I will always incorporate my intuition as that's a large part of who I am. I will be on tour and talking about tarot, chakras, and all parts of me. God gave me a gift and I embrace it. What matters most is that you are as happy and completely fulfilled with your faith as am I. And I think that's the key, is that, it really is about all of us saying, great. As long as you are a decent person and doing the best you can do, who am I to say, oh, you can't, what does that say about the Jews? Or, so you kind of have to I don't know, this is my opinion. I just kind of live and let live a little bit. And I think all religions should work together. And Jeep Girl says validation's nice, but shouldn't be required. Validate yourself. You know what? I'm gonna talk about that, Jeep Girl, because I think that's really a powerful thing. And yet at the same time, there's that wonderful quote that says no man is an island, right? Nobody can be on their own all the time. And I think that your best friends, my best friends, the people that we allow into our inner circle, do you notice that we only hang around, I want to say girlfriends, now friends, that validate us? And yet, for sometimes, not all people, some of us in relationships will allow men into our lives, or women, who invalidate us. And I think what we have to look at is that we are finding that mirror of what we need. And so I know for me, I only allow my female friends in who are going to be validators. If they're invalidators, they just go. They just go. I don't even I just let them fall off the side of it. Or if they're fixers, the people that go and they use, do you know what I mean when I say people who use their I want to say spiritual speak, you know what I mean? Spiritual speak, so that they can then tell you how to behave. In my my instinct, my gut is telling me, no, your gut is not telling me what to do with my life. Okay. Your gut is, you're deciding what you want me to do. I don't know what people use. I really think you need to be kinder to yourself and you need to love yourself. That was one I used to love, you guys, when people say to me, you need to really practice self-love. And it's like, okay, that's fine. But that's like me saying to you, you can be a millionaire. First, get $1 million. Because the truth is, I think that honestly, if you knew how to practice self-love or self-validation, wouldn't you do it if you could? I mean, it's kind of like people say to me, well, can't you read for yourself? Because I've made some stupid decisions in my life. But I always say, bad decisions make the best stories. I would have nothing to say to you if I didn't make a lot of bad decisions. But the thing I want to say is I can't give myself a back rub. So, I also can't read or predict for myself. enough. But that brings me to why intuition is powerful and how not to BS yourself. But I'm going to look. Yeah, I just think, and thank you, Brian. I think, and all you nights said I had to learn to love myself. Let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you something about self-love that's really kind of, maybe this will just turn the key. Here's what we want to say. I love humans because I love dogs, and dogs call us humans. Okay, I'm going to go on to something else because I forgot what I was going to say. Something about, let's see. But it was years of not feeling able to be myself. Oh, what did she say? Was it Rosie? All Unite said I had to learn to love myself. Okay, so here's the thing about self-love. You would not be listening to this right now if you did not love yourself. See, my experience with people who actually do love themselves, I love when I get clients who come to me and say, I really don't love myself and I don't know what to do. And I'm like, you just drove up in a Mercedes. You bought yourself $1 million house. That's a form of self-love. And I'll never forget saying that to a client. She's like, but it's just a thing. I go, do you enjoy it? She said, yeah. I said, do you think someone that hated themselves would buy themselves that? She looked at me and she said, no. See, the thing you have to recognize is that people who hate themselves may buy things that are really beautiful, but then they destroy them. And then they can get into the pattern of saying, see what happened because you were such and so. So you see patterns like that happen because we don't love ourselves. But the truth is, I had another client, I was teaching a class and she said, I just can't finish this last class. And I said, well, it sounds like you have energy around completion, finishing it. She said, no, I think I just don't love myself. I said, honey, you wouldn't have spent 5 years in grad school trying to get a license to practice, medicine if you didn't care about yourself, and she was like, oh. So sometimes we take these terms, and this goes back to what I was saying about like terminology. And I think sometimes we take terminology and we twist it. We twist it so that it can suit some kind of dialogue that isn't true about us because we're trying to stay faithful and stay under the wire of the lowest common denominator in our family. Bear with me. They always say that you're only as strong as your weakest link. So if there's a weak link in your family or a friendship that you're associating with, that's bringing you to a certain level. You're going to try to fly under that level. So what I noticed for myself is that when I kind of let those links fall and I just stopped associating at that level, it was really amazing to me how much I enjoyed what I was creating. So that's something I want to say to all of you as well. I'm going to talk about twin flames too, because I think that's going to be important. Let me see. Yeah, I agree. I think, I'm going to tell you something. Somebody just said this. Wait, who just says that the world would be amazing? Destiny said, the world would be amazing if we came together as humans from all walks of life trying to achieve that highest vibration of love. And I'm going to say something to you, which may shock everyone. Don't you think that's what we're doing? I want you to think about that for a minute. Yeah, I think sometimes we don't like ourselves because of our own choices. I think there's a way to say that, Lori, good point. Don't you think that, it really is that we're disappointed in ourselves? We're just disappointed because we know we could do better. And I think that's kind of what it comes down to is I know for myself, I've been disappointed because, I can do better than that. And I was looking around my house, really interesting. I got back from New York and I'm not kidding when I tell you everything was piled up. It looked like a hoarder lived here. Okay. And I have a beautiful home and I have someone comes in and helps me for a few hours a week, just organize and stuff like that. And it's like she was just like chipping in an iceberg, And I said to her, she came in, I think it was Monday, and I just looked at her and said, this is depression. I don't want to live like this. And I said, everything goes on the pile on the coffee table. And she's like, are you sure? I said, yep. We piled everything up on the coffee table. And I said, I am going to sort it from there. And that's what I've been doing. And so the rest of the house looks pretty, tidy. And what I'm saying to you is that, sometimes I wasn't liking what I did. I was disappointed in what I was doing with my home. And so that's something, it's an ongoing struggle because I'm a clutterer. So I really have to make that effort. It's harder. That's all for some of us. And that's what that means really at the end of the day. Let's see. Okay, I like that. That's great, Jessica. I don't trust words. I even question actions, but I never doubt a pattern. Hello. Yeah, right, Jessica, I know. Yeah, that's great. Emily, I think that's evidence to Lori Rhodes that you're not a sociopath. You have a heart and mind that are connected. Great, that's fantastic. There are more people interested in intuition emotions these days at the same time as femininity is being more recognized. It's way cool. Stephanie, I agree with you. And, it's funny. Where's my freaking... Okay. It's really funny because I did this deck. I commissioned the artist 5 years ago. So when you look at some of these images of, the women, they're just quite remarkable. They're really... they're really exquisite. Like here's the traveler, the fool, and she's visiting the high priestess. But just to show you some of these beautiful cards, I mean, these are just cards of consciousness. This is a woman rising up and saying, I have this gift of intellect, and I'm going to get this going. And what I love about when I do sessions, I don't really call them readings, I kind of call them sessions. When I do sessions, it's about me saying, yeah, we know you're this energy, so let's get you there, and I like to see people take action on their lives. I don't want them sitting there going, does he love me? Because it's like, I'm not in that consciousness. It's like if you have to ask that, the chances are that you may not be in that. So there you go. So if you could, before you run off, I would, I found them on Scribed. Oh, good. Would you like this video if you guys think about it? Because I know currently doing more spring cleaning for summer. Yeah, just if you think about it, like this video. Please also share, and share, and subscribe. That's something else that I'm noticing because a lot of people say to me, oh, I missed it or what have you. You're going to miss things if you don't subscribe, because if you subscribe and then hit the little bell, one of the things that will happen, obviously, is you'll get a notice, but, it'll tell you when I'm live, and it'll tell you right there. Okay. Let's see. Thank you, Christina. Great. Let's see. In a pile, one thing at a time, babe. Exactly. Thank you. This is definitely what we're trying to do, but keep doing what does not work. Well, I think one of the things you have to remember, and this is something I want to say, things have become very twisty. And when I say twisty to all of you, I want you to notice, and what I love is I think it was Russell Brand said this, and I really agreed with him because I had this conversation months and months and months before our election, I think in 2015. Now, just so you know, the word Trump is banned on my page. So if you use the word, you won't be able to, it won't come up because I don't want to get into politics, but I want to get into energy. One of the things I want to say to you is that we either go or grow together. So as a consciousness, let's look at it positively and say for a minute, what if we created everything right now? What if the Brexit situation in London was created? What if everything here in the United States was created? If we came together as a consciousness to create what is going on, then we have to look at it as, you know what? We've been here before. How are we going to grow from this? Like, in the 80s, everybody was crying about the same stuff we're crying about now. The thing is that only the elders can tell you that. And the problem is that we've got a lot of young people who don't understand that history has taught us differently than what they're wanting. So a lot of times when you look at something that people are saying, I want this, the truth is that what they're doing by and I'm just going to use a word like what you resist persists. You see, you can't go against the natural laws of our, I don't want to say society, but I want to say universal laws. There's a law of attraction and there's the law of repulsion. And the truth is that even if you're right, If you behave in a wrong way, no one's going to listen to you, or you're going to lose favor. So it's an interesting thing that's beginning to happen, is that people are not seeing, they're not wiping the glass and seeing in that maybe we are all trying to get to love. Maybe we all are trying to make this a better place. And the truth is that you can't look outside yourself and say, that person is doing something evil. You have to go, I'm part of the consciousness that created that. What in me can I shift? Because it goes back to the Bible too. It's like, let it begin with me. I was on a radio show last week, and I think they're all on my torihartman.com/events page. You'll see all the radio shows I'm doing and the appearances in the UK. And one of the things I want to say is that I was saying that the Bible is the original book of shadows because, when people talk about, but the truth is that it morphs every time you read it. Like, I'll read a passage and I'll go, I never read that before, because it evolves as you do, and you will see higher consciousness ideas as you evolve. So I hope that's making sense as well. Yeah, I think you're right, Brian. I think you're really, yes, our energy, our culture is a collection of our energy. Emily, you are right on. Oh, that's weird, Frankendoll. Well, sorry about that. Let's see. Okay. So here's the thing I want to say is that I don't believe that we just kind of took off your thing, Shadow Warrior, because we don't really get into name calling here. And Duty Ron is in the house. Thank you so much. Look at this for your super chat. And I just want to say, Duty Ron's mom passed, and boy, I know that one. I know when that parent who you adore passes. And, one of the things I want to acknowledge in Duty Ron too is I see how much you two loved each other and how much you loved your mom. That's just such a special relationship. And I want to validate that and just say, I'm really glad you're here right now with us. And, that whether or not we like it, we'll all be there at one time or another. So just a lot of condolences and shout out to you, Duty Ron. I'm really glad you're here with us. So just know that, of course. And yeah. So yeah, you know what? I'm so lucky to have a few YouTube pals like Duty Ron that I can interact with, and we can kind of say, hey, here's what's happening. So, hopefully when you're ready, you'll get back on the horse and you'll be back with us. And one of the things that happened, at least for me, when I lost my dad is, it's, the old cliche, oh, they're always with you. Yeah, but you can't talk to them. Okay, so I get that. But one of the things that happened is I noticed that my own ability to communicate became deeper because I understood I was just, you're just sliced open by pain, and it's just no one can know unless you've been through it. So and I do want to say that somebody put up something about how YouTube is doing this and YouTube is doing that. This guy and I looked at it and I went, but you know what? I'm on the channel, okay? I'm on this platform, and when you're on a platform, whether you agree or disagree, you play the game. You play by the rules, and I've gotten to a point where I don't want to change rules that I agreed to. I have a choice to either stay or go, but I don't want to get in there and start changing rules unless there's something really unfair. That's different. So let's see. Do not want to drive the chat out of here. Love you guys. Whack. Yeah, I know what you meant, Duty Ron. It's all right. You know what? I want to say this to you, Duty Ron. No, you're not driving the chat out of whack. You are the chat, because when someone, it's warm as heck because we're having these rainstorms. When someone loses someone they love, and that is an opportunity for all of us to be a part of, your sorrow, your experience. You know, we can't do it for you, but we can be there for you. You know, we can't grieve for you, but we can be there while you grieve. And I think that's a really key component to this. And sometimes it's really just a sitting with someone through that moment. You know, I'll tell you, it was harder for me when my dad died, for the people who, you know, who really were just, who sincerely would come over and go, you know, hey, I get it. And they would tell a story about my dad, and it would just be like, ugh. So right now, while you're here, Duty Ron, and while everybody's here right now, you know, one of the things that we want to recognize is that it does change energy when someone's lost a loved one. And, you know, that's what we talk about in true crime, because we relate to these people on some level. And so when one of our own, you know, like yourself, Ron, when one of our own goes through that loss, we have to be there for you. You know, you are the talk. There's nothing wrong with that time, because something I want to say is you're worth it. You know, you're worth it to all of us because you're part of this community. And I think that we do have a community, and that's part of what I enjoy about what we're doing, you know? Yeah, of course. So let me just see. I lost my father 5 years ago. No one understands they lost a parent. I agree, Stephanie. Yeah, you know, there's always blessings and growth, but you know, before you get there, it's a real, you know, it's a poopy time. It just is. I mean, and also at the same time, if you notice when you lose someone, or even when you break up with someone, notice how everyone comes up to you and they go, "You look so good," and you're like, "I feel like I'm going to die." And you know, this just reminds me of those moments when, and I've said this before, but you know, when my father died, I had to make that decision. And the decision was I going to live because he lived, or was I going to die because he died? And I had to live because I knew that's what my dad would want. And so I just want to, you know, oh yeah, oh my gosh, you know, yeah, of course you're hurting. You know, when you, and Duty Ron, I want to say this too. There's nothing like losing a parent, you know. And I don't care what age you are. I was in a grief workshop with somebody years ago, and this woman, I am not kidding. She was 72, and her 94-year-old father just died, and she was sitting next to me crying. And somebody in the room said, "Well, at least you had him for a long time." And I just looked at the person. I'm like, "Shut your pie hole." That was back in the old days when I was a little meaner. I go, "Shut up." And I don't really say that anymore, but I just said, come on, there's never a right time to lose a parent. You're never going to feel good because you're 72 and you've had them that long. It's like, there's no accounting for it. You just know that, you know, it's part of that, it's part of that experience. And, you know, it's unfortunately, so there you go. Oh yeah. Well, grief is love without a place to go. And that's what I really learned in all the work I do. It's you know, you have this love and then it's gone and you're stricken, and there's an empty spot that's bigger than you thought it would be. And it's worse than you can imagine. And it's all encompassing. And that's when the decision is made, somewhere in that time, somewhere in that hurting space. The decision is made. I'm going to live and honor their life, or I'm just going to sit here and become a ward of the state. And I know that sounds dramatic, and I don't mean to, you know, but that's what it was for me. And I know how painful it is. I've been there. You know, I think that's so important to, you know, Brian, I think it's true. It means a lot to have a lost loved one remembered, you know, and it's, what did Cruz Boston say? A person, yeah, who like Tori's has lost both my parents. Be mad, sad, grieve, but never let bitterness eat you up. I think that's the thing, is that, you know, and if it does, just come back to the people that have been through it. and talk about it and talk about the bitterness, and you will find that the bitterness really is just hiding the grief. It's just, it's kind of like, this is okay. So years ago, the only time, let me relanguage that. The last time I went on a water slide, you sit like this and you're going down like a torpedo. And I got to tell you, I fought it the whole time. I'm trying to sit up during the water slide. And, I didn't enjoy it. And the truth is, I resisted that water slide the whole way down. And ultimately, it was a horrifying experience. And what I realized was that it's, that's kind of what grief is like. It's like there are moments when you just don't want it to happen, and you want, and you can't control it because you're just going to be going in that direction. It's painful, and you're being sucked down the slide, and that's what it is. Let's see. Yeah, Duty Ron, I know when I lost my last parent, when my dad died, he was my last one, and he was my last relative. And I get it, because I want to say that when my dad died, I had to wait and bury him in Arlington, and there was a whole big thing. But I remember that feeling like they were all gone. They were all gone. And yeah, it's pretty jarring. For me, it was, and I sensed that you were very close with your mom. And that's something that, and I'm going to share this, and then I'm going to just move on to the last thing I was going to talk about, which is about twin flames and soulmates. But I remember when my mom died, it took me years and years and years to get over it because I had more issues with her. When my father died, it was pure grief. I mean, he and I had worked out our issues. We had agreed to a lot of things before he died. We had gone through things together. And at the end of the day, we both sat and, there was this moment when he knew I loved him. I knew that he loved me. And so when he left, it was just grief. There was no, I have to work this out. My father did this to me. It was like I talked to him about all that stuff. Remember when you did that and you hit mom? And he was like, yeah, that was stupid. Like we had those talks. So, there wasn't, the grief was greater with my father. But the sharpness was short-lived. But the missing him does come and go. And it's different for everybody, Judy Ron, and I really need to say that because I don't like when people put on you, well, you're going to feel this for the rest of your life. No, your relationship with your mother is as unique as anybody else's relationship with a parent. And I'm, I'll talk to you more about it offline because there's something really interesting that's happening that I didn't get to share with you when I was in New York, but I did tell you about it. Because I'm going to make an announcement about a project that I have coming up, but not until the ink is dry on it in general. So, I just want to say kindness is the new sexy. And I want you to just really kind of like think about that. At some point, we got really enamored with snarky being cool. Like when people put you down and can like zing you and all that crap. We really got involved with that idea of snarkiness. And you know what? It ain't cool. How about that? Snarky is just a bummer. It's disgusting, and I don't want to be around it. And, I don't like when people post, even on the Facebook thing, some sarcastic comment about something. It's like, ew, go away. And somehow along the line, we have come to accept bad behavior. And I don't want to accept it from people I know. I don't want to accept it from people I don't know. And I certainly don't want to accept it from my politicians and people in some kind of elected thing. The thing I really want to say is that do your job and just like, as my dad used to quote, I forget who said it. Was it Roosevelt? Ooh, I'm going to misquote. No, I think it was Churchill. Walk softly, but carry a big stick. So just remember, kindness is the new sexy. Think about it. The kinder you can be to somebody in any given moment, we don't know if they've just gotten the crap knocked out of them. We don't know if they've not had a meal in 2 days. You don't know what people are going through. Kindness can be so lovely. Please, please, please constantly practice it. Let's see. What about people whose parents are so manipulative that peace is not possible? How do you grieve when they're not dead yet and much longed for resolution is not possible? You know, Nellie, I was just going to say, one of the things that can really help too, because I find that most of the time, parents like that have either alcoholism or overeating. There's something compulsive going on there. And if it's not with the parents, it can be with the grandparents. And what I like to tell people is if you have alcoholism anywhere in your family, or if you even met one on the street, you met an alcoholic once, your ticket has been stamped and you have a lifetime membership to Al-Anon. And I encourage you to go and talk to people about that, because I want to validate and say I was really angry at my parents for a long time, and I don't want to try and say, oh, it's just get over it. No, it's not like that. It's that it's very painful. It's very real. What you're talking about is just anger and keeping them on the hook, because if you let them go, they will take credit for you having an okay life. And staying angry keeps us, I don't want to say it keeps us stuck, because it's not that, but it keeps us in the constant conversation of it's their fault. And I want to say to you, that's not to invalidate you, because most of the time, even in that conversation, it's still very, it's real to you. And I want to just say that. So just know that. Kindness is sexy. I'm hot. Duty Ron. Okay. Duty Ron just said it. I am hot. Okay. He is. All right. Okay. You have been sexy a long time. What can I say? Let's see. How do you deal with bullying and depression? Are you the bully? No, I just went. I'm sure you're not. But my brother partnered with attorney and brought her to court. Oh, okay. Well, listen, you know what, Tara Rose, what I want to say to all of you is that, and this is going to sound really, I have a friend who just loves to go to court, right? And she's like, I'm right. And I'm like, yeah, okay, you're right. But, you know, for the 3 years it's taking you to go to court and fight that, I'd rather write a book or go on an adventure in Europe. So you can go fight it. And people were like, you know, because I had sold my studio, my recording studio, to people in Los Angeles. And they decided one day to stop paying me because they decided it wasn't worth the price they paid. And, you know, they owed me money, and people were like, why don't you go fight it? Why? I'm like, why? You know, for whatever it was, $50,000 or something like that. I'm like, you know what? At my age, I have time is more valuable to me than money, because I want to use my time as the most valuable currency. And so when you have circumstances that are going to cost you, you have to weigh out if the cost is worth it. So somewhere along the line, I had to make the decision to let them off the hook. And when I did, all of a sudden, another opportunity came up, and it was like, oh, I'm making a living now as a writer. And then the other thing I want to say to you is that when my cousin, who got my grandmother on the deathbed to sign over all of the assets in the family to him, that's right. It was just me and my cousin. We were the only heirs, and there was 3 houses and money and all that stuff. So he, the worst businessman ever. I'm pretty clever, so I could have done something with them, but he got her to sign them over. She signed them over, and then he proceeded to lose everything. And I remember when he got them, you know, my father was furious. My father said, oh my God, you got to go get, you know, it's not fair, Rob, we got to fight him. And I'm like, let him have it. My dad was like, but that's yours. I said, it isn't mine because it wasn't given to me and I don't want it. And you know what? To this day, I am so grateful that that wasn't my path. That wasn't my path to fight for that. It wasn't my path to fight for that studio. I did what I needed to do with the studio. I helped the people I needed to help. There are careers that got launched because I owned that studio. And there are things that I needed to do, and it's complete. And I think the biggest problem we live with today is declaring something complete. At what point do we say it's over? And only you can make that decision. Only you. And this is not by the way, of invalidating feelings, because Al-Anon helped me. I was in Al-Anon for 20 something years. I think that there's a lot to be said. I started adult children of alcoholics groups. And I was a pioneer for some of them in Los Angeles because nobody was doing them at the time. And I don't live there anymore. They're not mine. Nobody even knows I started them. I sat next to people at some of these meetings and they didn't even know, that I was the founder. Who cares, right? Because the truth is, I sat next to a woman who said to me, "This saved my life." She said, "Are you new?" And I kind of went, "Yeah." And she said, "Oh, this is the best meeting ever. And it really saved my life." And I thought, great. And at the break, I got up and left because it achieved what it was meant to achieve and it wasn't mine anymore. So the point is in this conversation is that we have to honor what we're here to do. And the truth is, the wounds that you have from your parent, whatever it is going to be your purpose. It is going to be what opens up a deep understanding that you have and only you have for other people. And that can be a temporary thing or it can lead you. For example, I find that most of my clients who come to me are dealing with alcoholism. They're dealing with different levels of the disease. And most of them have worked through a lot of it. And they have these issues with parents because I've been there. So there's a sense of this is my purpose. These are my people, people who've been wounded, that I get it because I've been there. And so, doing what's right for you may be completely different than what's right for me. And your brother may take your family to court and do something and try to get the money. And you know what? You just have to decide what your personal life currency is worth. And sometimes you have to stand up. By the way, sometimes you do have to fight. There was a dentist in New York who ruined my dad's teeth. And I don't even know if you guys want to hear about it, but yeah, All United is great. Yeah, my favorite brother-in-law just went to live in rehab. Good for him. Good for him. I know how nothing has to be wasted in our life, even our hurts. We can use them for good. Exactly, Lori. And I think that's what God wants us to do. I think it's like helping each other is what we're here to do. Tia Hammer, I hate those decisions that only I can make. Yeah, been there. Let's see. Oh, Jennifer, I didn't see your super chat. Thank you so much. I apologize. I missed it. Let me look here. Afraid when my parents die, it will feel like losing a limb. My parents are by far not perfect, but they're the first people I call to tell my news. Just knowing they are there when I pick up the phone. And I'm going to tell you a secret. Okay, I'm going to tell you a big secret, Jennifer. I lived in fear my whole life from my father dying. It was singly the most feared thing that I ever went through. And I know that feeling. And all I can tell you is that when it happened, I was completely numb, but I was completely surrounded by people who helped me. And there will be people who show up. And there will be people who show up for you during that time. And something I want to say to you is, what I did with my dad was I asked my father for signs. I said, "Papa, when you die," and he's like, "Oh God, don't remind me of that." I'm like, "But you know what? I'm going to be a mess and I need you to take care of your final arrangements." And I bugged him for years and he finally did it. And I have a story in my book about that. That's one of the short stories in the book I'm working on. But the reason I'm sharing this with you is, having those discussions now of like, what's a sign? My mother said, always look for my birthday. So her birthday was February 7th. So when I got my first apartment in New York, it was 207 8th Avenue. course I was going to get that apartment. So the point I'm making is that we get signs when we ask for them. And I think it's great to have those because there is a comfort to it. And I'm sure you can attest to it, Duty Ron. Everything in life becomes a little bit more vulnerable. There's so much pain, but also there's those moments when only you and your mom can know that. Or like for me, it was only me and my dad could know that, you know? Time and place. I think snarky has vindictive tones. I agree with you, Nicole. I really agree. Forgive, the golden rule. You know, I think the biggest thing about, I think that one of the things I want to say about forgiveness is, this is going to shock probably all of you. I don't ever forgive other people. I forgive myself for having judged them, because that's where the real forgiveness is. Because if I think somebody is doing me wrong, I'm judging them. They, for whatever reason, are doing what they do. And it gives me a choice to either be around them or not. And if I don't like what they do, I don't have to forgive them. I forgive myself for loving people that couldn't be there for me. And when it comes to painful family relationships, like parents who are not there for you, or that they beat you, or something horrible that gets done to you. I remember I was on the radio with somebody once, and I just said, I really want, because I was doing a reading at the time, I said, I really get that you were treated horribly. And she just said, yes. And I said, you know, forgive yourself for loving someone that was incapable of loving you, but that does not define you as someone who's unlovable. And I think that's the most valuable thing that I ever heard from myself that really helped me. And she was like, wow, I went, wow, that's pretty good. Yeah, write it down. So we forgive ourselves for judging others. That's really the truth of it. You know, the idea of forgiving someone else, it's like, but I don't always feel good. Because if forgiving you was going to make me feel better, that means you could go to therapy and I'd feel better. But it doesn't really work like that, does it? So, you know, it's kind of like always about how I judge people. Yeah. Hey, Selena, good to see you. Hey, Whiplash, good to see you. Let's see. I've never been timed out, though. Okay, there you go. Tori, feel the same. My brother cut off his whole family. I've forgiven myself for his actions. Well, it's a little bit different. Yeah, you forgive yourself for having judged his actions. It's like you don't know. You're not in his shoes, you know. We don't always know why, why somebody does something. We just don't know. I mean, we think we do, but, you know, this is where true crime comes in, is that most of us are looking for the motivation behind why people do what they do. And, you know, it's like when we can get to our side of the street and really get solid on what we're doing over here, we can begin to understand that, you know, someone else's incapacity to keep their side of the street clean does not mean that they're doing it at me. You know, alcoholics don't drink at you. You know, they're drinking because that's their dis-ease, and that has nothing to do with you. And, you know, they may say it has to do with you. You know, they may be joking about it, or they may not be, but it doesn't. It can't possibly have to do with another person. Yeah, I've come to terms, Melissa said, I've had to come to terms that my parents love different than how I love my kids. Great. I can't even comprehend their love language, but I sat and thought about it. Maybe they do love the only way they know. Yeah. You know, oh, welcome, Wooly. You know, something I want to say about that is that, you know, I had that discussion with a client because she called me and we were talking about does he love me, which is a tough, because I always feel like that's a tough one to talk about, but, you know, does he love me? And I said, you know, does it matter? And she was like, what do you mean? I said, well, what if I told you, yes, he loves you? At the end of the day, obviously, he's not loving you in a language you can hear. So that's not really love for you, because you're not hearing it. So you either have to learn the language that he's speaking, or you have to get that he's never going to communicate with you in a language you understand. And I think that most people don't get that when it comes to love. Let's talk about I want to really briefly, because I do got to get to work tonight. Believe it or not, I'm working on a new proposal. But I want to talk briefly about why the twin flame. And in the meantime, I want to just ask: are there any new folks here? Oh, okay. Snarky and sarcasm. Yeah, they kind of are the same, BBT. Okay, let's see. All right, so I am going to, same here, but it's changed with my mom. She's become more affectionate, and I'm gonna challenge you on that, Christine. You've become more affectionate, and you see it in her. How about that? I know, Owen. You gonna cry? You gonna bark? Oh, it's down here. You gonna bark? Here comes the crying. Yeah, as long as we're not confusing abuse as another language. Well, I think the thing is that if you're confusing abuse, then you need a therapist. You can't, you can't get you need to really work through it. Okay, thank you. Oh, thank you, all unite. Okay, Owen, stop crying. We don't like crying. Nope. Go sit down. I'm going to take you out in a minute. And then I want to talk about the twin flame thing. This is important because somebody posted about her having a twin flame relationship, and she felt they were twin flames and they were apart for years, and then they had differences and then they fought, and that's not a twin flame. I need to let you know that may be a soulmate, because soulmates tend to work things out in a very dramatic way. They tend to have more drama. They tend to have more angst. There's more longing. A twin flame is a flame that's burning, that has been separated into two fires, and when they join, they burn brighter together. That's a twin flame, and that's why it's called that, because one has been split apart. It's like a split apart. So I really need to define that and say that, and the reason I say that is I think some people want so badly to believe that they're in a twin flame relationship that they say it's that, and but when I say this to you, one's not better than the other. They're just different. They're just completely different. And I think that's an important do you see that? I think it's an important distinction to make, because I've had a lot of soulmates, like friends that went by the wayside and came and went, and yes, thank you, Duty Ron. Boy, it is tough to lose your mother right before Mother's Day. Yeah. Let's see. I'm ridiculously sarcastic. Okay, yeah. I think that, it's okay, BBT. You can be sarcastic. It's just, I think the thing is that do it in person with your friends. It's going to be misread sometimes in social media. That's the problem. And I want to wrap up, but I want to send out a wonderful blessing to all of those people out there who have mothered others, who have been caretakers when no one else would, who have taken someone under their wings when it was completely not appreciated, who have saved lives like yourself, Duty Ron, and stepped into situations that were far beyond what they could comprehend, which is what motherhood is. And yet they stood up to the challenge and they didn't give up. I want to really acknowledge those mothers out there who didn't give up, and those who knew enough to give up their child for adoption so that child could find a fantastic mother who was their rightful mom. And I want to really put out there and say to everyone, just saying a prayer to everyone for peace and blessings on this weekend. And for those of you who do get to celebrate with your mother, really being grateful for the love that you share. And I'm grateful for you. I'm happy for all of you, and a special blessing to Duty Ron and his mom, and that this will be the first Mother's Day where there's an empty spot at the table, and I want to acknowledge that, and that isn't something that's fixed. It's something that's experienced, and it's very, very private. So much love to you, Duty Ron. Much love to everybody listening. And please, if you think of it, please give the video a thumbs up, and also share this this channel with your friends and others. That's part of what. I think my battery's dying. So that's something I want to share with all of you to really try to reach out to other people and tell them about what we're doing, because it's so important to help me keep doing this. So thank you so much, everyone. Much love to all of you. Have a blessed day, evening, weekend. And remember, say what you mean what you say, but don't say it mean, and be kind to each other. Bye for now.